Hello and welcome all you foodies out there in QCTV land. I'm Nadia Giordana, and normally we'd be coming to you from the studios at QCTV, but things are different now and we still want to cook for you. So I'm here in my kitchen at home, and our guest today, Jenn Espinosa-Goswami, is in her kitchen. And we are going to cook a couple of recipes, simple and easy, fast and fun, with an eye towards nutrition and body bliss. And I'll let Jennifer tell you what body bliss is all about. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you, Nadia.
It's really good that you could be here today. This is kind of a fun format way of doing this, a little different for everybody, but I think it's going to work really well.
Yeah, I'm excited to cook with y'all today.
Well, I told the viewers that you were going to talk a little bit about body bliss, and I want to hear about that too. So why don't you start with that before we do some cooking?
Sure, I'd love to. So body bliss is a concept that is anti-diet. I have a lot of clients who ask me, can I eat this? Can I eat that? Should I eat this? Or should I eat that? And that is not the way I want my clients to live their life. I help them create their own path to bliss. And to me, even if that involves weight loss goals or diet goals, it doesn't mean you have to be concerned about whether food is bad or good. You should enjoy the journey along the way. So that includes, good foods that sustain you. It includes exercising and having fun while you're doing it. And it includes working on your mindset so that you love yourself both now and in your future self.
I like that because that's a little bit of, and of course I've been following you on Facebook, so that's a little bit of what I've been doing over the last several months and through this time of COVID when our personal balance is all off. And there are those times and moments when you, just to fill the time, boredom or stress, feel like eating more often. And what I start thinking about is, okay, if I'm really hungry, I will, and I'll have something I enjoy, but I'm not going to immediately run on the scale and check things. I've been on the scale very little through COVID, and I feel a lot happier and a lot more balanced just going, I'm pretty okay the way I am right now. If I lose a couple pounds, that'll be all right. And in fact, last week, my husband said, you look like you've lost a little weight. And I said, oh, that's good. So back to
It should feel like an easy and effortless process. And I think a lot of us overthink what we're doing and we try to nitpick everything we're doing, but that doesn't make us feel happy. And if we're not feeling happy, we're not going to continue doing it. So that's my whole philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. That's so much truth to that. And so you have a family. You've got 3 children, is it?
I have 2 daughters.
Daughters, okay. I know you show some recipes when you're cooking for the kids. Is it very different cooking for a family than it might be, say, cooking for just yourself or your husband?
Well, it's been a long time since I cooked for just myself or my husband. I've been married 16 years now. But yes, I work with a lot of moms. And when I'm coaching moms, the challenges that come up from them are, I want to eat healthy, but my kids don't eat X, or my husband refuses to touch Y. And I am all about that life. I understand what that's like. My younger daughter is a standard American diet kind of girl. She likes her hamburgers and her pizza. My other daughter, she's a teenager. She's more into fish and vegan types of foods. So, trying to make sure everyone in the family is eating food that I approve of, but they also enjoy eating is definitely something that informs all of the cooking and the recipes that I share with people. So it's important to me that it be hearty food, it be tasty food, and it be food that everyone can eat and I don't have to spend all day in the kitchen.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm going to give you the floor and let you show us what you've got for us today.
Awesome. Well, today I chose a recipe that is a plant-based recipe. Now, there are a number of reasons why I chose a plant-based recipe. We're in COVID right now, so budget-friendly recipes are helpful for many of us if we're experiencing some job loss, job transition, and a lot of plant-based recipes are very budget friendly. So that's one of the reasons. I'm going to be sharing with you today sweet potato corn cakes. So another reason I enjoy this is it is the transition between fall and summer right now. We're not officially in fall. We're not officially away from summer. So this recipe kind of combines the best of both worlds, the sweet corn, but also those healthy sweet potatoes. And just throwing it out here, I love sweet potatoes. A lot of people this time of year, they're like, oh, it's all about the pumpkin. I'm not a big fan of pumpkin. Are you a big fan, Nadia?
In pie, but other than that, no.
Yeah, so you know, the pumpkin spice latte, the pumpkin this, the pumpkin that. I'm all about sweet potatoes because they're more versatile in my opinion. And a sweet potato is actually very high in potassium, it's very high in iron, and it has a lot of vitamin A. So everyone in my family wears glasses. Taking care of our eyes is really important. So that's one of the reasons that I chose this recipe today. And another reason is it has very minimal ingredients. So like I said, I don't want to spend all day cooking in the kitchen. I don't want to spend $50 on a single recipe for anything I'm making in my life. So that's why I chose this recipe. I shared with you that the base of this particular recipe is sweet potatoes, but I'll show you the other ingredients that we use because it's very minimal. One of the other ingredients we use is corn. Now I use canned corn today, but you can certainly use frozen corn. If you have fresh, you can use fresh corn if you'd like as well. Of course, to fill the base of the sweet potato is cornmeal. This is really friendly for people who are gluten-free. So if you are in a gluten-free diet, you can certainly use this recipe today. And then of course, an egg to bind it together because it is a corn cake, which means that you're putting all this together. The sweet potatoes will bind it together, the corn will bind it together, but the egg will also bind it together. Now, it's important for me to share recipes that you can flex and make your own. So if you are vegan, you can certainly use a flax egg instead of a traditional egg. And that's a substitute that is commonly known. And then finally, you need spices, right? Fall is all about spice. It doesn't have to be pumpkin spice. I use a lot of cayenne, which is a red pepper. I also use a lot of cumin, which is something that you see traditionally in Mexican cooking. Yes, Nadia's a fan. And then also, so the recipe doesn't call for paprika, but I'm a big fan of smoked paprika because it adds an additional layer of flavor. Another fan. And then if you don't have fresh cilantro, that's okay because there's freeze-dried cilantro you can get from the produce section in your grocery store. I'm a big fan of making sure it's something you can keep forever, and cilantro kind of goes bad quickly. So if you don't have a garden, it's fine to use the freeze-dried variety. Now this recipe, you combine all the ingredients together, the sweet potatoes, which you cook ahead of time. So I've done all of that. I mixed it in a bowl, and once you've mixed it into a bowl, you refrigerate it for half an hour. This is really important because all of those ingredients have to bind together to make it cook properly into the cake form or the fritter form. So super easy to do. Again, you don't have to pre-cook the corn. You can use leftover potatoes if you are a sweet potato fan, just like I am, and you roasted a bunch of sweet potatoes last week, which is what I did, and you have leftovers, you can just mash those up and put it in here. You can also put your sweet potato in the microwave. So if you're short on time or you don't want to get the stovetop going, no problem. Wrap it in a wet paper towel and cook it in the microwave. Poke a couple holes in it first so it doesn't burst. And then 5 minutes later, you have a cooked sweet potato. That is also a good breakfast variety for you, but we're using the leftover mashed sweet potato from the microwave. So that's, I put it all together, refrigerated it, added my spices to it. I went a little heavy on the cayenne because my family likes a little bit of spice. And then once you have this all together, you put it on the stove top. So would you like me to launch right into that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to change my camera angle just so you can see properly what I'm doing. So I have here on my stove top, oh gosh, I hope you can see. Okay, so I have a skillet going here. And a little note about cooking oil. You can use whatever cooking oil you like yourself. Personally, I'm a big fan of avocado oil. I love the flavor of it. It's a richer flavor. And unlike coconut oil, it does not have that aftertaste. Like, I love coconut, but sometimes you don't want the flavor of coconut in your food. Another benefit of avocado oil is it's high in so many nutrients. And I just enjoy the flavor of it. So again, it's personal preference. You can certainly use canola oil, coconut oil, butter, whatever cooking medium works for you. I just like avocado oil. Okay, so you put your oil in the pan, and then you have it going about medium-low heat. And you can use a spoon or a fork. I use either one. Once the pan is a little bit warm, I like to feel the temperature of the pan to see where we are here. Once the pan is a little bit warm, we just scoop those sweet potato mixture and try to make it circular, but you don't have to be totally perfectionist about this. That's another thing I like about using leftover mashed sweet potatoes. It doesn't have to look perfect, but it'll still taste really good. I'm gonna cook a couple out here so you can see it in the pan. And you can mash it down if you'd like. They don't flatten that much, but you can certainly mash them and make sure that they kind of make a flatter place on the pan here. Okay. So Nadia, do you like to have sweet potatoes?
I do like sweet potatoes. I didn't as a child, but I do like them now. I like the yellow ones, but I especially like Jerseys.
That's another good thing about sweet potatoes. There are a lot of varieties.
Yeah.
And the different varieties have slightly different flavors. Like you said, the different flesh color indicates a different level of nutrients and a different taste. So, you know, feel free to use. Sweet potatoes are different from yams. So the yams are often a deeper oranger color, and they're actually in a different family. But you can use yams, you can use the white flesh sweet potatoes, whatever is local to you or looks good to you. You can use either one. So you see, I didn't really flatten it too much. I have it cooking in the oil there. My pan is a little bit, I like to swirl it around a little bit to get the crispy edges of that. That's the best part about fritters. I do a lot of veggie fritters. And I love the crispy edges of that, especially if you're a person who's like, I eat a lot of vegetarian foods and I'm doing like a burger-like consistency where it's crispy on the edges, but nice and soft in the middle. So we're gonna let that sit for about 4 or 5 minutes in the oil. Let it cook up. Enjoy the flavors and the smells.
Do you turn them over once, or do you just cook them from the bottom up?
Did you want me to turn it over, you said?
No, do you?
All right.
Do you usually turn them over or let them cook from the bottom up?
Yep, we'll turn it over. Okay. So when you turn it over, make sure you get you see how brown it is? I'm trying to get the angle right. There you go. You see how brown not too brown. You can squish them together and squish them down a little bit to kind of get a flatter surface so that it connects with the cooking. I'm gonna let this one cook a little bit longer. I like to make sure that they're together really well. Yes, they may not stick together as well depending on what binder you use. There are also breadcrumbs in here, so I wanted to put it out there. Panko is the best breadcrumb you can use. However, if you're gluten-free, you can certainly use like Rice Krispies. You can use a gluten-free cracker or anything else which you have on hand. I personally just take leftover crackers that I have laying around and I just smush them in a bag. A little bit of stress relief along with your cooking. Okay, I'm gonna change the phone angle so I can flip this. One moment. Okay, so you'll see here, that one got a little bit more brown.
Looks beautiful.
Still cooking in that oil. And then once you're finished with that, you can go ahead and put it on a plate. I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. I'll take the heat off and then let it sit. It cooks very quickly, as you can see, other than refrigerating it ahead of time to bind it together. It took me about a few minutes just to cook this on a skillet on the stove top. So you can keep the batter mixture or the cake mixture for several days in the fridge, even if you don't anticipate eating it for that day. Keep it in the fridge for a couple days. It'll stick together even better. And then let's go ahead and put it on the plate. And there you have sweet potato corn cakes.
I swear, I think I can smell them.
They smell really good, Nadia.
Well, while those are cooling off, and if we were together there, we'd be tasting that right about now. But
oh yeah, and I'd love to throw in, you know, these are not too substantial on their own. They could be a snack, they could be a meal. But if you want to top them and add a little bit of protein to this, because, you know, sweet potatoes aren't that high in protein. There's a little bit of corn in there, so there's some protein in corn. But topping ideas, I'd love to share that with all of you. You can top it with a dollop of Greek yogurt. I like the 2% or the 5%, and you can certainly flavor the yogurt. It doesn't have to be plain. You can add some chives to this. You can add some shallots to this, some garlic for a little bit of flavor. Or if you're someone who doesn't do yogurt, you can do like a salad dressing. This is called Sassy Slaw from Salad Girl. And this is a vegan one, so it has kind of a kick to it, a little bit of a bite. It's a little bit lemony. So you can add so many things to this. Or if you're a person who's like, I just want some meat, then have it with a burger. Put a burger on top, cook some sausages. There are so many ways to cook this, Nadia. It is the most versatile recipe you can think of.
I'm gonna try that. That would be so easy to do. That's kind of, I love fritters of all kinds, so I will enjoy it. I'll let you know when I make them.
Oh, absolutely. I want to hear about it.
Well, now we're going to change gears for a moment, and Corey from the studio has a clip of some healthy and fun and interesting dog treats that he makes. So let's go see what he's got going there with dog treats.
Hey guys, Corey here with a brand new edition of Cooking with Corey. We are out in the woods. It is a beautiful, unusually warm fall day here today. And it got me thinking, this is probably one of the last really nice warm fall days we might have. So I'm out here with my furry friend today, and this had me thinking, you know, I should do something special for my little doggy friend here. So today on Cooking with Corey, we're gonna make dog-friendly ice cream treats. But before that, to show you how to do it, we're gonna hear from this guy right here. Thank you, sir. Hi there. So the first thing you're gonna need to get this thing started is your trusty blender. The list of ingredients for these doggy ice cream treats is actually pretty short, but it all starts with 32 ounces of plain yogurt. Next, we're gonna have 2 tablespoons of all-natural creamy peanut butter, but let's pause it here for just a second and let's talk about the peanut butter. Yeah, so let's just talk about the peanut butter real quick for dogs. Obviously, you want to keep your furry friends safe, so you want to avoid peanut butters that have xylitol. It's a very dangerous sweetener for dogs. It's in a lot of peanut butter. So basically, it's very easy. What you want to do with peanut butter for dogs, you want to look for the all-natural or the organic style peanut butters. They use like sugar or real cane sugar. Avoid xylitol, avoid the dangerous sweeteners for dogs and peanut butter. Okay, moving on. Next we have 1 mashed banana. And finally we have 2 tablespoons of honey. All right, so the lid is on, the ingredients are all in there. Let's go ahead and get this thing blended. All right, so now I have that soon-to-be ice cream mixture. And then I got these silicone ice cube trays off Amazon. I think they were like $8. Really cool, proper for this recipe, obviously. This one's shaped like dog bones. This one is shaped like dog paws. So really fun, easy to use. I don't think we're gonna need all of this. So I think we'll skip the dog bones. We'll save those for next time, maybe for a different recipe. So I think we're gonna focus on these dog paw silicone ice cube trays. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the mixture. I just washed this, obviously. Wash the stuff you get from Amazon, you never know, right? This might get a little messy, but don't you worry, I'll clean up afterwards. I'll do my best. Let's go ahead and get these filled in. All right, not too bad. Gonna clean this up a little bit. Some of them got overflow, but that's okay. It's all gonna freeze in the freezer. So I'm just gonna let this sit for just a second, and then we're gonna move it all over to the freezer. It'll probably take a couple of hours for these to freeze up, and then they'll be ready for your puppies to enjoy.
Well, what did you think, Jennifer? Didn't those doggy treats look almost good enough for people to eat?
I almost did that one time. I walked into a store and I thought the treats on the counter were for humans. Don't make that mistake, folks.
It wouldn't kill us.
That's true.
All right. Well, you know, Jennifer, you and I have had conversations on and off over the last few years, and we talk a lot about the foods we like, but we've talked a couple of times about foods. Well, actually, I've heard about foods you didn't like, and those two foods that I remember were kale, which I really understand, and quinoa, which I don't understand how anybody could not like quinoa. So I'm determined to convert you at some point in time. I myself, I don't like parsnips. I don't really like broccoli that much, but broccoli I work into my meals and try to eat it even though I don't care that much for it. It's not my first choice. Parsnips, never on my table. So that's just, don't even ask.
I'm not a fan of parsnips either. I feel you on this one.
Hey, good. That one we'll stick together on. So anyway, what I'm going to make here is I have a electric fry pan. That's what we're going to use to cook because of my camera angle here in the kitchen. And we're going to be making a kale and quinoa soup. And I really do think that you would actually like it. And I'll get this going hot to see how hot this goes. Get a nice hot temperature on there. And this one uses chicken broth as the base, but you could easily use vegetable broth as the base and have something that would go well right with your fritters. You could do that with your fritters. So I've got 2 cups. This is only for 2 servings of soup, 2 or 3 servings of soup of chicken broth or vegetable into your pan. And actually the skillet is a great pan to cook it in regardless of whether you're doing a TV show or not. I'm going to change the camera angle so you can see me cook. Does that look just about right?
Yes.
You can see that, so you can watch that as that gets hot and cooks. And I'll talk about the ingredients for a moment. I use a little oregano, which I can sprinkle in here. And the spices are optional as to what you kind of like. I really love dried onion flakes. Put a little extra of those in there. And there's a difference in the flavor. Even when I'm using whole or fresh onions, I will still throw in onion flakes. There's something they do for a dish that goes beyond onions. Here's some chopped carrots. I don't know if I'll need them all in here. I don't think so. I think about half. And a little bit of celery. These are all basic soup ingredients. I had enough for a larger dish there. And we'll save those 2 for a minute. There's no fat in here other than maybe a little bit in the chicken broth. So I'm going to that jar. There it is. I'm just going to put a little. Oh, it's a brand new bottle. Okay. A little olive oil to make the soup a little richer. And it does something. A bay leaf, a crushed clove of garlic. I see it's starting to simmer now. And I think you can see that it's simmering. This would have to simmer, it depends. If you like your veggies real al dente, you could do it for just 5 minutes. I would say with the kale in here, as I'm putting in right now, especially for you, Jennifer, someone who isn't as fond of kale, I think half of that could be the coarse texture and the toughness. Kale shrinks a lot when you're putting it into soups and liquids. I would cook it for 20 minutes to get the kale much softer. But look at that beautiful green color.
And I will say, I can tolerate kale when it's cooked into soup. So I'm really liking this recipe.
I think you'd be able to handle this one. This is something I get at the Dragon Star supermarket, and it's called mushroom flavored dark soy sauce. It is an incredible product. It's thick, not super thick, but it's thick compared to soy sauce, and it's actually good in gravies to make them brown too. It flavors a rich mushroom flavor, turns the soup a dark color, but doesn't necessarily, you'd have to add sesame oil to get an Asian taste out of this. It doesn't taste Asian, it just tastes good. And you
could define that soy sauce. I love the flavor of mushrooms, so that sounds like right up my alley.
Mushroom sauce, and just the Dragon Star markets over in Brooklyn Park. But that's a wonderful store. Don't get us started talking about how wonderful that store is. Just everything great. Pre-cooked quinoa, and I'll just put maybe about that much in. This just takes the place of pasta or potatoes. And I'm not going to go overdo that either, because it's...
I suppose you could add wild rice to the mixture too.
Oh, you bet you could. Yes, definitely could add rice or wild rice. It'd be real good. That's probably what the first time I ever did this probably was wild rice. So that's it. That's the basic soup. I'm going to show you. It looks the same as it's going to look when the carrots are done and the celery is done. But oh, it's smelling good. Can't really see the quinoa. There's a little clump of it right there. And then if you can see the soup steaming, beautiful.
Yeah, lots of beautiful colors there.
It's a good one. So if you were here, Jennifer, we'd be enjoying that right now.
We'd be having a fall feast.
That fall feast. And let me cover that so that I don't get a facial while we talk here for a minute. And that is one of my favorite things that I do. Between our two recipes, I think we have a winner today.
I think we have multiple winners and something for everyone.
And our time is up, but thank you, Jennifer, for coming on the show today and cooking for us and teaching us something about appreciating our bodies the way they are and not sweating over good nutrition when we can just kind of work it in and have fun with it. And thank you to the audience for watching us today. We'll see you next time on QC Cooks.